Yeah. Welcome back to another edition of the Men Who Cry podcast. Please like, subscribe, review, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. If you're not doing these things, I have to assume that you have not realized that all you need is a Jay-Z quote to make it through life. On today's episode, we have had some communication issues. So unfortunately, Nina Gibson will not be on this week's episode, but that's the greatness because we have me. So we will not be talking much WNBA talk for right now, but we got some time. The season starts in about a month, a little more than a month. So we'll definitely have Nina on before, we get to that part of the season. But the good thing is that baseball's back. It's just, you can't watch it. I thought that this would have been a good time to have a nice little six-pack of topics that I like to talk about that I think people are talking about currently. Now, we are recording this Wednesday night, so stuff will be happening that we will not be talking about, but you will be here to listen to this. And one of the things is that, like I said, baseball is back. Baseball is playing tonight. The Yankees will be taking on the San Francisco Giants, and then the teams will be playing different games all over the weekend. The only issue is that baseball, like many sports, doesn't really give a fuck about its fans. If you don't realize, if you don't know it till now, baseball is having its opening night, per se, on Netflix. Yes, the Giants and the Yankees will be playing this game over Netflix. The next big game on Thursday, the Mets and the Pirates will be playing on Peacock. Same thing with the Dodgers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. And it just gets me thinking about how we have just entered a place in definitely America where we have now fully embraced the haves and have-nots of the world, right? Andrew Marchand, who's a reporter for The Athletic, did a good breakdown. If you are a Yankees fan and you want to watch every single Yankees game this season, it is going to cost you upwards of $800 to watch every single game across 8 different apps. The Yankees are playing on so many different apps and streaming services that it's just going to cause you that much money out of pocket. And I think when this happening, with the combination of the conversation we had earlier this year when it came to the NBA All-Star game, where just getting into the door was like $1,000 to get into the door, we are in a very crisis moment right now when it comes to sports, because the lifeblood of the sport is the diehards who watch, right? Because the diehards, they get the season tickets, they get all the packages to watch all the games, they buy all the merch, they get to go to the games, they buy all the concessions. But that's a lot of money for people. And as you see, as with the economy is not doing well, people are going to make decisions. And the fact that you're not going to be able to have people be able to watch a 162-game sport where the local fans are the things that keep this thing going, it's going to be a huge problem, And especially, I'm not even getting to the fact of a lot of the fans, because baseball have a lot of older fans, don't even know how to get to any of these applications. So it is something that we will get into a little bit later on, just how you're seeing the breakdown of society in real time through sports. And it's causing this to be a serious, serious problem. I mean, you're not going to tell me that there's a report that came out yesterday or a couple of days ago from Shams saying that the salary cap for the NBA next season is actually going to be a little worse than it was projected to be. It's supposed to be down by $1 million. And the NBA is saying that it's because of regional TV networks. Yeah, that makes sense. When no one can watch your games, when a game is on Peacock, and then it's on Prime, and then it's on ESPN, and then it's on Fox, and then it's all over the place. Plus, your players and the media keep saying how these games don't matter. It makes sense that you're going to be losing a little bit of money. And so going forward, this is definitely, I would say, a sports crisis, if there can be one. And the beauty about all this is that sports is the great indicator of seeing how everything goes. Sports is fun, right? You don't have to do this for sports. But when you see this and you see people aren't going to the movies, gas prices skyrocketing, you are gutting at the middle class in a way that I've never seen before. Granted, not that old to understand about everything, but I can read books. And this is getting to a point where it's becoming unsustainable. And things simply can't keep going at this level, right? There was I wish I unfortunately wrote this down, but there was a billionaire talking, and he was even saying how he was from California. He was even saying how the billionaire tax would be good for him. Right now, California is debating of having a billionaire tax. I don't know exactly all the details of it, but it's going to be taxing everyone who makes an X amount of money. And he was basically saying is that there is only one of two ways that this is going to turn out for the better. Either we have a serious resolution when it comes to the affordability crisis that's happening in a non-violent way or in a violent way. That's the only way things change. Things don't just naturally get better, okay? Either we make legislation to get it better or someone goes and takes that thing. And I don't think people have realized that the option number 2 is going to get closer and closer to people, especially if they can't eat. So good job, MLB, for making their opening day one of the most sacrosanct things that baseball has, which we will get into a little bit later, why opening day matters so much, because no one watches your sport overall, right? It is opening day. It might be the MLB All-Star game. And outside of that, it's just rivalry matchups. Boston, New York, Philly, LA, San Francisco. That's it. Okay. And it is making it so that fans are just feeling the weight of everything around that most people are feeling in this country. Speaking of an attack on the middle class, TSA. If you guys have taken an airport, if you've gone to the airport in a while, which I haven't in a little bit, all I have is seen these videos of these insane lines. I've seen lines literally outside of the door getting into an airport of people trying to make their flight. It's funny because when I was growing up as a kid, my mom used to take flights with me all the time. We used to go to Barbados, our home country, all the time. And my mom always had this rule where if it was a domestic flight, we would have to be at the airport 2 hours ahead of time. If it was an international flight, we have to be there 3 hours ahead of time, right? And where we grew up, I would say I was never more than a 20-minute drive from the airport. We always went to JFK. I rarely went to LaGuardia. I've been to both airports now. LaGuardia has gotten way better than when I was a kid. But now, that's just the standard, is to get there 3 hours ahead of time. If you don't get there, you're not making your flight. And like I said before, when it comes to with the streaming services and things like that, this is making a haves and have-nots, because you know who's not feeling this pressure? People taking the private planes, NBA teams, NFL teams, Major League Baseball teams, guys who can afford it, guys and girls that can afford this aren't feeling this pressure. And it's so interesting who's being felt the most by this pain, right? It's interesting enough, the people who probably did not vote for this administration, right? Because the haves, right, who want all these deregulations, who want all the money going back into their pockets, they fly private. They don't ever have to deal with these situations. And the people who unfortunately are always believe in these culture wars of transgender people are killing everything and gay people and DEI and all this other nonsense, they're too poor to fly. So it's oddly specifically targeted at people who did not want this issue to be a problem. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, DHS, Department of Homeland Security, is partially shut down, basically because they need funding. This is being held up in Congress because the Democratic Party does not want to give over money to fund ICE. This is kind of the big sticking point. We've seen these government shutdowns happen pretty regularly now since Trump's second term. And I would argue that the Republicans have done a good job to somehow, while they own the House, they own the Supreme Court, and they own Congress, to blame the people who are not in control of any three of those branches. And this will be, once again, a situation in where Democrats, unfortunately, will have to at least brand themselves as guys who are trying to stop fascism from taking over in this country. And seeing the line that they want to stand on will be interesting because, like I said before, the party that wants ice to be funded, the people aren't feeling the level of pain that they should be feeling. You know, I mean, we now have ICE agents at airports because of what? And it's insane how people have just allowed ICE to essentially be involved in almost any single type of enforcement that they want it to be. I mean, this was getting to the point when we were saying how ICE was going to somehow protect people when they were going to the Olympics. That doesn't make any damn sense, since that is not their jurisdiction whatsoever. And seeing them be there hasn't fixed a damn thing. There hasn't really seemed to be any indication that they've done anything besides just walk around and grab food. So this is going to be a major sticking point for the opposition in this country, and to see if they're able to actually get something across. Because one of the things that happens is people like to fly. People like to fly a lot in this country. And if you keep having lines circling the block, we will be having problems for a long, long, long period of time. Speaking of problems, or perceived problems, the next six factor we're going to be talking about is the 65-game rule. The 65-game rule in the NBA is coming under attack because some guys are definitely going to miss out, okay? Some guys are going to miss out of the games played. Now, a lot of people are pushing back, honestly, because Cade Cunningham is the most latest victim, unfortunately, to this rule. It doesn't seem like Cade Cunningham is going to be able to play 65 games. He was on pace to, but unfortunately, he sustained a collapsed lung, and it doesn't seem like he's going to play the rest of the season. He needs to play 4 more games in order to get this rule and to be able to achieve All-NBA status, which he absolutely would have. He probably would have made first, if not second team All-NBA this season if he qualified. And here's kind of the thing where, you ever heard the conversation about we have to attack the problem, not the symptom? A lot of these guys who are going to miss this, right? Who will potentially miss this. Cade might miss. You never know. He come back. Shea is on the borderline. Wemby was also on the borderline. Jokic has been on the borderline for the whole time, but he probably is going to finish the season playing every single game. He could only miss one more game of the year. Is that people want to change this rule because some of their favorite players are either going to miss it or are going to get real close up to the line to missing this. And I think the biggest issue is that is the symptom of what is happening, but the NBA fixed the problem of what it was supposed to be. The problem was motherfuckers weren't playing in games. Okay? Now, if you want to blame LeBron, you want to blame Kawhi, you want to blame whomever it is, this was something that they had to do in order for guys to play. The NBA had a problem, whether it was accurate or not, of seeming that guys did not want to play in basketball games. And some guys were going to get affected by this unjustly. Now, in my opinion, I would have rather had this be more of like a minutes play thing, right? It's almost if you played a certain amount of minutes in the game, you qualified no matter what. And I think injuries just happened and it just took place. But unfortunately, when the league is tanking and a third of the league is out there not playing in games anymore, this is the problem that you see. And I do not think the rule needs to be adjusted. I do not think the rule needs to be changed. I think the rule is absolutely fine. And I think, unfortunately, some guys are going to get unjustly hurt by this rule, but that doesn't mean the rule in itself at its core is wrong. Okay? Now, maybe you can have some adjustments. Maybe you can have some things come around it, but absolutely the rule should stay the way it should be because it's worked. Guys are playing now. You know, you're not really having load management. I mean, Kawhi Leonard might qualify this year for All NBA. Okay. And this guy's been load managing for like 4 years, you know, just full on seasons where Kawhi just wasn't playing in games. And having a league where the image of your league, again, rightly or wrongly, is that your players do not care about the regular season is a problem. And I think part of that is now narrative based, because the one thing about the NBA is that is just consistent is that we don't actually talk about the basketball. We talk about just the stuff surrounding the NBA instead of the actual games played. But this rule works, and it's going to be a rule that I think over time will be something that we look back on and says that this is the thing that helped turn the tide on the idea that guys don't play, right? And I frankly think that a guy playing in at least 65 games should be rewarded, you know? I think there's a significant difference in a guy who played 73 games in an NBA season versus a guy that played 55 games, but the guy who played in 55 games had better numbers than the guy who played in 70, right? Playing in the games matter, you know? Ultimately, it is about playing in the actual games and winning games for your team. I understand that obviously that there's levels to this, but it's fine. Okay. I'm sorry that some guys might miss it. Cade, you have an excellent season. Some guy like me is going to remember this and write it down. The Pistons might go to the finals and it's going to be fine, right? He's going to play a long career, hopefully, and make all the NBA in other seasons. But for right now, if he doesn't play 65 games, I'm sorry, he didn't play 65 games. And he's just going to be a victim of something that is ultimately a benefit of the NBA. Speaking of a guy who's not going to qualify for All NBA and might be having one of the most messiest divorces under wraps that's happening. I don't know if anyone's been watching or paying attention, but the Bucks and Giannis are having a weird kind of breakup right now. Giannis got hurt again a couple of weeks ago with some type of lower leg injury that was never really specified. It seemed like it was a calf injury. And the Bucks essentially came on and said he's not playing the rest of the season for the team. And Giannis essentially bucked back, right? He spoke through, or one of his representatives spoke through the Player Association, calling this a problem that the Bucks aren't letting him play. Now, this is an interesting kind of subject because as we just talked about with load management, you now have a guy who wants to play. Giannis plays all the time when he can play, but the team is keeping him out from playing. I honestly think mostly because they're scared that he might get hurt again. But they also, there's a draft pick involved in this. But if Giannis pops his Achilles, he's not going to be as valuable in the trade market coming up next season if they're going to trade him. And I'm looking back more at what Giannis is doing. His games played is getting kind of concerning. Giannis has missed 3 of the last 4 postseason runs. 4 years ago was the time where he hurt his back when he jumped up and he fell and the Bucks lost to the Heat in round 1. The year after that was when he hurt his Achilles or calf rather. And he missed that playoff series when they lost to the Pacers. He didn't play a game in that series. Last season was a series he actually played in, but if you remember, Dame was hurt because he had the blood clot issue. Somehow came back from that and then ruptured his Achilles again. And this year, Giannis is going to miss out. He's only going to play in 36 games and with multiple leg injuries. I mean, I'll go through his list. So when he first got in the league, we're talking about a guy who played 77, 81, 80, 80, 75, 72, 63, and 61. Now, some of those seasons had shortened seasons in it. Giannis played pretty much in the 70s from his rookie season 2013 until 2018-19. But since we got to the 2019-2020 season, again, one of these seasons was the COVID year, so you can't count it. He's only played in 73 games once. He's played in 63 games at least, each in those seasons, except for this season where he didn't play at all. Giannis has only played in 36 games. And for a guy who essentially is in his early 30s, he's entering a new part of his career. He relies on his athleticism a lot. I think it's going to be a major concern for a team to try and trade at least a decent amount of their draft capital to bring this guy in when he is very clearly having significant lower body injuries. I'm not trying to cast aspersions on Giannis. He is one of the best players of this generation. He has, I think, cleared Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the greatest Buck of all time. And you never know. Modern technology. I mean, we're watching right now Jason Tatum playing 10 months after he completely ruptured his Achilles, right? So I'm out here saying that Giannis is going to get hurt per se, but it is a little concerning to see a guy who has missed so many postseasons and now have another calf injury that's going to take him out for this season, and you trade the whole cupboard for this guy going into next year. That's a big time concern. And I think Giannis is still kind of a man without a home. You know, is he actually asking for a trade? Is he not asking for a trade? At some point, this Bucks thing is going to, which I think it has run its course. But if you look at the destinations, I'm not exactly sure where he's going. Obviously, the Knicks would be the number one landing spot for him if they lose in maybe the first 3 rounds, the first 2 rounds for sure coming up. But I frankly and we'll get into that with our NBA guys later in the season when we get close to the playoff time. But I've said it since the beginning of the year. Nothing's really changed my mind. I still think the Knicks are not only getting to the championship, but winning the championship. But again, we'll see. Boston, that doesn't really make sense for them to trade either Tatum or Brown at this point. You can say LA maybe can be the team that does it. But if they go on a run right now and they get a chance to get to the Western Conference Finals or get to the NBA Finals, maybe they just bring the team back, bring LeBron back in a different role and pay Austin Reeves, and that's the way it goes. The team that I think it will be the most desperate, and I think if you're Milwaukee, you want this to happen, is Golden State. Currently, that team is falling apart. Moses Moody had a nasty injury, so I think any trade potential with him is going to be gone. Steph's going to be 39 at some point next season. Draymond Green's not getting any older, or getting any younger, rather. Steve Kerr basically already said, if Steph leaves, I'm gone. And I wonder, are they just going to be like, screw it, we want to get this guy a 5th ring. Let's go ahead and trade for Giannis, trade all of our picks. And then if you're the Bucks, I don't know if there's going to be another team that's going to give you that much back. The other teams, obviously, that's going to be there that Giannis might consider would be Atlanta. They look really good right now, looking like a team that's going to finish in the top 6 of the East this year. That's probably the one other team that I think actually does it. Plus, they actually have Milwaukee's first-round pick. Does Philly try to get creative? Because they are absolutely stuck with 2 of the worst contracts in the league, and they are falling ship right now. Does the Hornets get crazy and go like, hey, we had this great season, let's push all of our chips in the table and go for Giannis? I don't know, right? I think so much of this is going to be determined by the playoffs and also determined about where Giannis really wants to go. And I don't know if he sees the team that he wants to go to that's going to get him over the edge. Because I think a lot of the teams right now that are going to trade for him are going to put him in the same position that he has right now in Milwaukee, where it's like, they can probably, if everything shakes out right, get to the conference finals in either conference. But I don't see a team gutting their team like that and be able to do that, because the NBA is different now. It's different from having those 2 guys on your team to get you to the promised land. All right. Number 5 on the 6-pack that we have. So I talked about MLB and opening day, how it's a sacrosanct day. It's a holy day. It's a day that you should be thinking about and should be put at the top of your list of things that you should want to do on that day. Either you should go to the ballpark if you are able to go to and it's a good day for outside, or you should be able to sit down and watch the game. And it got me thinking, right? Simmons did this whole thing a lot where he talked about being the sports czar, right? If he could just be the sports czar for one day, what would he do? And have a lot of really great ideas. So the one thing that we have that I absolutely think should be done is we need to have holidays tied around sports days, right? We oftentimes put sports days on holidays like Thanksgiving, like Christmas, MLK Day, but we need to have our own section of sports days that become holidays. For example, everyone already knows the Monday after the Super Bowl needs to be a holiday, right? It makes the most sense. Everyone's already drinking the night before. You're staying up late. You're probably at a friend's house. You might be dealing with your kids. No one wants to then get up early to either go to work or send your kids to work. Day after the Super Bowl absolutely needs to be a sports day holiday. My second choice that needs to be a sports day holiday, first day of MLB season. First day, if you have a nice day, you're off, you get to watch the game, you get to enjoy the day. It's automatic. The only time you get it, MLB, season day off, right? I know because the MLB is a lot during the summertime, so you get like Memorial Day, you get 4th of July, Juneteenth these days as well. But the only day that really matters for us as MLB fans is the first day of the season. That'd be one of the days I have off, right? The next one I would have would be the Thursday and Friday of opening day March Madness. No one's working. No one's working. Okay. We talk about the brackets all the time and people focusing on all that stuff. Just make those first 2 days off. You can make them up on the back end and people can at least watch the games and enjoy it. If not that, make people be able to work from home on those 2 days because it's so much easier that you know that people are actually locked into the tournament and you still know that people are part of the company because everyone has a bracket that's going to take place. And my other one that we have right here for a sports day holiday to me is any sports equinox days. Very rare to happen. They tend to only happen in like October per se. But if you guys do not know, sports equinox day is when we have the 4 major sports playing on the same day. So typically it would be the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, and Major League Baseball. This is why these games tend to happen in like October and November, right? I would adjust that and say it has to be at least 4, but the WNBA should be playing as well. The reason why you do that is because you might get some summer days as well, where you'll have a WNBA game, an NBA game, an MLB game, and you could probably either have like March Madness going or maybe the NFL draft. So any sports equinox days to me has to be considered a sports day holiday. And those are the 4. Very rare. We don't have a lot. We already have 2 locked in the Super Bowl and the MLB season day. And then the first 2 days of March Madness, and then any sports equinox days, right? So you have a nice little like thing to look forward to and kind of check the calendar to see how many of these you get. I mean, honestly, we get, I think, maybe 1 or 2 a year for sports equinox days. So it's not like I'm getting you a bunch of games. And honestly, through this list so far, it's only 6 days, potentially, maybe 5 days off that we actually get with this. So I think having a sports day holiday is actually a smart thing to do that should be implemented. And the last little bit that I want to talk about on the 6-pack, the 6th thing rather, is what's happening with LaRussell. LaRussell is a rapper from the Bay who had a song called Heaven Sent that basically went nuts online, not for the right reasons. And it's kind of interesting of just internet culture in the sense that the man said something frankly stupid, but ultimately was so bashed for it for weeks that you had to turn it into a joke. He's now selling merch off of this stuff, but it really just got me thinking about how it is damn near impossible to become a rap star anymore, right? Prior to this moment, I knew who LaRussell was, but I'm not going to say I sat up here and I knew his music per se. And now there is really no organic way to become a rapper, right? J. Cole is doing a lot of touring now, or press run rather, for his Fall Off album. And I remember when J. Cole, when he was coming up, he was talked about very mystically, right? It's a little bit, not so far as a Nas way, but it was just such an organic way, right? Like we all remember the warm-ups and the Friday Night Light tapes and talking about that stuff in high school. And signing to Jay-Z, getting on Jay-Z's album, and that's how it used to be, right? Like you made up your heat, you probably had a hot mixtape at one point, you signed to a label, you got your one shot on a big time label, and then you probably made a hit song, and that's how it goes. Everyone remembers Nicki Minaj's Monsterverse. That's the song I think that really snapped and broke her into the mainstream. But now none of that can exist, right? It's almost as if being a rapper is almost essentially like a side quest. It's like, I'm really like a TikTok star, but look over here, I also kind of make music, or I'm an actor, you know, I've been in all these other movies and stuff like that. But oh, by the way, I make music, you know, right over here on the side. It's not that big of a deal, but check it out if you want to. Like, I don't really know the last rap star that we had that just rapped. And I really think it's a crisis at this point, you know? Like, one of the big things I talk about is kids are the first people to get hip to technology before the old people, right? Like I remember obviously being on social media before a lot of other people, just knowing what YouTube was, Twitch, all these other things before big time companies were getting on these different platforms and using it in order to, make money. And I'll never forget, I went to my high school reunion last year. It was last year, last October. And I hung out with one of my friends who's a teacher. And I asked her, I said, how many of your kids, she teaches like middle school, high school. I asked her, how many of your kids want to be, rappers? And she was like, I don't know, like one kid in the class wants to be a rapper. I said, well, how many of them want to be streamers? And she said every single one of them, right? Every single one of them raised their hand and said, I want to be a streamer. And the reason why is because the entry point into rap back in the day was very cheap and simple. You didn't need a degree. You didn't really need a whole lot of equipment. You basically just needed to find someone to be able to make you a halfway decent beat, record you, and then you put it out there. That's kind of the same thing with streaming at this point, right? Everyone at this point probably has access to some level of computer, and you have an internet access. You can go ahead and make a stream, and there you go. Because the thing that made rap so popular isn't the fact that it was loved by many, it was because it was a cheap way to make money. And you saw people take advantage of that. And that's essentially what streaming is now. So that's why we are I believe, a true rap crisis point, because until you make it so that the barrier to entry to become a great rapper is honestly easier than it's ever been, you're going to keep having these situations where we're just not going to have either rappers who just rap, or we're going to force rappers into these situations where they have to have these awkward viral moments and hope that people look past this, right? Because again, the internet age is what it is. Like I said, I've never heard of LaRussell prior to this moment. That's not true. I never checked out his music prior to this moment, and because of it, I'm not that interested in listening to his music, And I don't think that this should be a moment that defines him. I think he said something that wasn't the best, and more or less me not thinking that he said something that wasn't the best. I frankly just believe that rappers should do the least amount of interviews, simply because you could damn near say anything you want on a rap song, so long as that you have good Kanye West production. But if the beat isn't good enough, people will kill you for what actually you're saying. And the beat just was terrible. Not to mention the contents of his words were bad, but by and large part, the beats weren't good enough. And that was kind of the whole problem with him. We'll see how it goes the rest for Lil Russell and his career. All right, everyone. Thank you guys again for listening to the Men Who Cry podcast. Like we said, like, subscribe, review, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. And we'll be back talking all this good stuff with you guys next week. Okay? Be safe, be happy. I'll talk to you guys again. Peace, y'all.